My name is Michael James. ID, that's in the ID. My parents were confused. They didn't know whether to drop the James because every other one of my cousins who shares my tribal name has James. So my parents added Mike, I don't know why. I was born in Soweto. That's a slum in 44. The farthest end, guys don't know much about it. So that's where I was born. I was raised in Kahawa most of my life. Yeah, that's me. That's where I come from.
There's no other God like you. Umenipenda crazy. There's no other God like you. No one like you.
I didn't know I was gonna be in full-time music until I was in college. I was always interested in music. I've loved music since I was a teenager. Actually, probably before I was a teenager. But the decision came to pursue music full-time and as a career after college. And so when I was in high school, it was either be a reporter, which I went to school for, and I went for my attachment in one of the local media stations, or an architect. Those are the two things I knew I'd want to pursue. So I ended up pursuing journalism. And then at that time, there was something happening when I was at my attachment. You know, there was something happening in the country. There were a few clashes, and so covering that was a bit traumatic for a young guy who's because I finished college early, so I was like maybe 21. For a young man, just being introduced to the industry, it was a bit traumatic. So I didn't even finish my attachment. I quit. You know, like after that time, you know, I realized, man, I love journalism and I love reporting, but I don't think that's where I want to, you know. And I came out with a newfound respect for journalists. And I think there should be like a counseling allowance for journalists, especially guys who do news day to day. I went to school. There was a guy who is based in the States. Because, you know, what I went to school for was sound engineering, not music production. Because I think music production is you learn how to operate the software. After that, it's your creativity. So no one can ever teach you how to make beats and everything. So I decided to concentrate on making sure that my music is top notch. It's high quality. And that's one of the things I'm well known for. Even now. So yeah, success. So I went to school. There's a guy called David Omondi who was based in the States, and he came here and took a few guys and we took us through a class before he went back. That was a sound engineering class. And then after that, I've done 2 online courses, because the kind of engineering I was looking for I don't think it's still being offered here. I actually started off as a musician because, you know, my whole high school life I was rapping all throughout high school. I was that guy. Who's representing the school at events. So I started off as a musician, and I recorded my first song immediately after high school. There was a studio called Scratch Records. That's the only studio I could afford at that time, and I think it was just before no offense to anyone, but I think it had already become irrelevant, kinda. It wasn't as big as it was back in the day. So that's the only studio I could afford, so I recorded. And then my interest in music production came from that. Started off as a musician, and then just my exposure to the studio and my eagerness to learn how to express my music. Because, you know, and to just be creative to have creative control from the start to finish.
Okay. Ingomani ya ma area code zote, machuo, maboy, mademo napenda ngoma zinachuna. Are we ready now? Oh! Kibea fruit ana chuna, na kama hatuko true, he's the Bruna.
The first song I ever recorded. I hope you're not gonna ask me to sing it. I don't remember the chorus. How did the chorus go? It was like Yesu wakutaka njo vile ulivyo basi ndivyo hivyo we njo Yesu wakutaka njo. I know it's not the best sounding song, but yeah, that was my first song, and I remember I had some ladies on it doing harmonies. Like, we really went out on that song though. I thought it was a good song, and then I didn't realize I didn't use an original beat. I got a CD full of beats. I don't know, a friend hooked me up and I was like, yo, I have beats. And I asked him, are they original? And I was like, yeah. So I ended up liking one of the beats on there, and it belonged to an American group. So, you know, even after I released the song, I couldn't really push it because of copyright. But yeah, it was a good experience though. There's a certain freedom with producing my own music I feel that I wouldn't get with someone else. And sometimes it works against me, and sometimes it works for me. When it works against me, it's because whenever I'm producing a song for myself, it's only my vision, right? And sometimes that can work against me. Sometimes I can end up being too experimental, right? And end up with music that would not resonate well with the masses. But at the same time, when it works really well, because again, it's just my vision. And when it comes to, as a musician, evolving my sound and what I want to sound like, you know, because for example, when I released Ayaya, because that's what came out before Bumaye, guys were expecting another Ayaya. So you see, if I was working with another producer, he'd have probably pushed for another club banger, for another club song. But the freedom that producing for myself gives me is I could take a completely different direction. It's like I can be a creative. If I wake up today and I feel like I want to produce a worship song, then that's what I'll do. If I wake up tomorrow and I feel like I want to produce an EDM, that's what I'll do. You know, so I think that freedom is, like, you can't compare that freedom to anything else. Whether it works against me or for me, I think the freedom is the biggest win.
They got me going ooh, I can't get enough of him. Everything that is done for me, I will give all the praise to him. They got me going ooh, I.
I don't think I have one like big achievement as a producer, but I think I have moments. Maybe one person would say winning a Groove Award as producer is my biggest achievement, but I don't look at it that way. Someone would say producing a song that wins an award, because I did that for Mimina. It won Collab of the Year a few years back. That's by Chris Ebaba. The year I produced LJ Masai, he won Male Artist of the Year. But I don't think I can have one moment, I don't think I can just put that in one. I think I have moments where I feel like, man, like we really achieved something. Even when Moji branched out as a solo artist, I think my favorite song that I've produced for him so far is Wacha Wacheki, you know. And it's because of the responses that he gets. You know, like those songs you produce and then guys give you feedback, like, yo, this song took me through a season I was going through. And I've had that myself with Anaweza and Bumaye. And I treasure those moments more than the accolades.
Oh, unafanya roho yangu iende. Umeniweza kila siku furahisha roho yangu.
Question, what keeps me going? I think the love. I think that's the only thing that keeps me in the studio, even when there's no money to be made. Even when there's no music to be released and we're not pushing music. Because sometimes I'll even, and I think my challenge also keeps me going, right? It gives me something to focus on and something to work on regardless. So, you know, that's what keeps me in the studio at 4 a.m. studying what the world is up to and what the new sound is and how I can incorporate that in my sound and create something new and something amazing. So the love of it and the I think the dream I have to be a contributor, like a major contributor to the Kenyan industry and the Kenyan sound, and in also to be a contributor to the African sound, because Africa is, guys keep saying Africa is rising, right? But other than being excited about it, is we have to do something about it. So and that's my belief, that in whatever industry we are in, whether it's music or it's law or it's journalism or like whatever industry we are in, we can't just be excited about other guys representing Kenya or other guys representing Africa. It's like we have to be excited about us representing Africa. So even when there's no money to be made, there's a goal to be accomplished. And and I think right now I can't have a bigger dream other than to be part of what's already happening, because it's gonna blow up. Either way, there's so much attention on Africa and on Kenya, because Kenya is a hub. It's gonna blow up eventually. I think the only question is, am I gonna be part of it, or am I gonna be the guy who was excited and was never part of it and was never a contributor?
Tungekuwa tulifyatu wakasema no way, tulichizishwa na banga banga, oh yeah. Kama sio Yesu tungekuwa nje.
I believe that other guys are fearful of mentoring and bringing up other guys. I'm not only musician, I'm working producers. I'm working with musicians. I'm actually working more with musicians than I am with producers, because I feel like the way to leave a legacy is to have guys who owe you their careers. Like, I know that's like a really simple way to put it, but like no one ever remembers you because of your money. No one will even remember me because of my hits. Like there are so many guys. We remember very few guys who have hits. If we talk about legends like Michael Jackson or whoever, even guys like Issa, we don't remember them just because they had hits. We remember them because of who they were and what they did in our communities, and what they did for the Kenyan industry or the industries wherever they were at. So it's always about more than just the music, because there are guys who had hits and no one remembers them, and most of them are not even there. They're still alive, but no one cares. You get? The music industry has its struggles, especially when it comes to monetizing. The biggest challenge is always the law of the land and how well the law of the land protects industries. So, currently as it is right now, the guys are working on it. We are working on it as musicians. We are trying to push. I think just the other day we were trying to push for a meeting with the president. But it has to start there. Like our laws have to improve. And the government, we need to have institutions in place that protect creatives from guys who want to take advantage and from middlemen. Musicians have to be well educated, so that even when we are signing contracts, it's not just the rush to sign a contract, it's understanding what we are getting into. And sometimes that means you have to get someone to help you, someone who understands the business. So this is it's Magic Studios. This is my studio. This is where I work from. I have very basic equipment, but it's very high quality. And so these are the things that you will probably need if you want to start a studio. The first thing you need is a computer, yeah? Because this is the way music is now. It's digital. So this is your hub. Back in the day, it used to be your mixer. Have you seen pictures with those big mixers? So that used to be the hub, because that's where everything was controlled from. But this is where everything is controlled from now. I actually have on a software, it's called Logic. This is what I produce off of. It's called Logic 10. Some guys call it Logic X, but it's like iPhone 10, iPhone X. You don't know which one you're supposed to use. So that's what I'm using. That's the first thing you need, is a computer. So I have a Mac. It's a Core i7. It's really powerful. So get the most powerful computer you can afford. The next thing is this red thing right here. This is what you call an audio interface. So this is what replaced those huge mixers. So we don't need those huge mixers now. We operate from this. So this is a Focusrite. It's a Claret 8 Pre and it's Thunderbolt. I know you guys don't understand what they just said. So in layman's terms, it's really high quality. It's very high quality. It's one of the best in the market. And Thunderbolt just means that if you understand tech, Thunderbolt just speaks to the speed. So the speed that communicates with the computer is really high. I have 8 inputs on that, which means I can record 8 inputs simultaneously. So I can basically record a full band on that. And it has a couple of features, but since Focusrite hasn't paid me, I won't market them. And then I have studio monitors here. These are Yamaha's HS8. So HS8 just means that this is an 8-inch. Yeah. So these are HS8s. They are very standard. You can get them here in Kenya. We have a Yamaha distributor here in Kenya. So you can get the HS8s here. That's what I'm using. The reason I love these speakers, I've used a bunch of speakers. I've used KRKs. KRKs are probably what I'd go for after Yamaha. But Yamaha has a very flat sound. And so when you're producing, I think these are the best speakers you could get. And then you always need your headphones. Because when someone is recording, they need to hear themselves. And these are also good for referencing. So what I have are Audio-Technica headphones. A lot of guys don't know about this because they go for bigger brands, but these are some of the best headphones in the game. These are amazing. You can have like 2 pairs, different headphones if you want to compare, but I'm okay with this because I trust the output. It's very accurate. And then after that, you can have, you need your keyboard. So this is a MIDI controller. It's an Akai. It's advanced 61. 61 just means it has 61 keys. And the special thing about this one is the features it has. I could not find this here, so I had to import it. So as you can see here, I don't know whether you'll be able to see, you can scroll and you can link it to the different softwares you're using. Because right now I'm on Logic Pro, but if I switched my software, I can switch it up here. I can switch depending on the software I'm using. So it has a few. So you can probably see one of the softwares. One of the most famous softwares is FL. That's where everyone starts. So the beauty about this thing, other than the many features it has, is the ability to switch, to link with your software directly. And that just opens it up. You can do so much with this thing. It's small, but it's amazing. One of the other reasons I bought this was the colors. Man, I know it's a bit petty, but one of the reasons I bought this was the colors. And I just feel like it's very inspiring to have so many colors on here and so many buttons that are blinking and can light up. It's so amazing. Yeah, see that, the colors. So that's not just colors, it's not for fun. So the colors are marked to different features. Yeah? Like if I go to bank A, the colors are marked to different features, right? So it's also easy to work on because like now I'm on bank B, these green ones are tom drums. Yeah? And these white ones are hi-hats and crashes. So I know that because I use it often. So it's really easy to operate because of the color coding on there. But that's just one of the features. It has so many features. What else do you need in a studio? So in a studio, if you've ever won an award, you need to display it. This is such a shameless plug. So this is one of my awards. One of my awards. So I don't know, from time to time, it encourages me, but I think one of the things that displaying your accolades does is that it gives your clients confidence, right? I think that's the main thing, right? And then the other really important thing you need, let me push this out of the way, is a microphone. So I have this is an Akai Perception microphone. It's one of the best in the game, but this is in the mid-range. This is a P420. This is in the mid-range. We have, I think, a P820, which is it's high-end, but this works for me because at the time I was setting up the studio, I couldn't afford the high-end one, so I went for the mid-range one. and it's really good. And then you have your pop stopper. So the pop stopper just takes care of the p, p, p. You don't want that in your music. So this is not for decoration. So with this one, you know, you want it at very specific places in your studio. And what it does is that it absorbs sound so that you don't have an echo or a reverb in your room. So that even when you're recording through your mic, that's one of the things that those booths, you remember those booths I was talking about where you talk someone through a glass? So that's what that helped with. Because, you know, you isolate the microphone so well that there's no noise from the outside, and you get a really dry sound. So these ones help in that in a really simple way. You can get this in any color you want depending on the theme of your studio. So it can look good and at the same time, you know, do the work that it's supposed to do, the technical work it's supposed to do. So that's basically what I have in my studio. It's not too much gear, but it's very high quality gear. If you want to start a studio, make sure you get the best gear you can get in your budget. We have, if you can't afford like a 61 key, you can get a 49 key, which is smaller, but with the same features. So the only thing you're losing are the keys, right? So those are some of the options you can get. If you can't afford like a really high-end microphone, get a mid-range one from a trusted brand. That's one of the reasons I went with AKG, because AKG is like Mercedes. You know, it's been there for so many years and it's trusted. Yeah, so that's my 2-bit 2 cents advice. Let me show you what I have on here so far. So on this track, I'm using a sample by Jamie Rock. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but it's a very old sample. So this is the sample. So that's a sample. And then I brought in my strings just to emphasize on the chords. Yeah. And then after that, I brought in the kick. So that it gives it a bounce. Yeah, and right now you have something you can follow. You hear that, yeah? So this is a very bouncy track. It's very local. After that, you get in the snare. So the way I produce my music is I don't have too much in the song. Like I'm not one of those guys who'll have a million melodies. I'll have very few melodies, but they stand out because I want to focus more on the bounce and on the feel, you know. So after that, we add percussion. Goes something like this. So I already have my body. So the last thing I need is bass. So it still sounds a bit empty. I have the bounce, but I don't have the uzito on it. So, you know, bring in the bass. Hey! So those are the elements. So that's just bass. So now from here, it really depends on what the artist does, because that's what will influence what melodies I add now. So depending on maybe the hook the artist comes up with, that now will guide me from there. Because you know the thing is, when I'm creating a beat, I avoid having so many melodies that it confines the artist to, you know, it confines their creativity, because there's so much going on that they have no room to be creative. So, you know, whenever I'm creating a beat for someone, I'll always do something like this. It's very basic, but it's also catchy and it's groovy. So it's just enough to inspire them to write, right? And to be creative. So now their creativity is what guides me from this point. Yeah, so this is actually a bit I need to finish and send to the artist.
Okay, the elephant is my favorite animal, actually. So I see them like the gods of the jungle. That's how I see them.